Good day, everyone. Today, I'm going to introduce to you the staffing, designation, and the successor plan of the Willow Creek Academy. So before we proceed to our main topic, let's define what is staffing, designation, and successor plan. Staffing in a school involves recruiting, hiring, and retaining qualified teachers, administrators, and support staff. Designation refers to the specific rules and titles assigned to staff members within the school. Successor plans in a school are strategies for identifying and developing future leaders and key personnel. These plans ensure continuity and stability by preparing current staff members to step into leadership roles as needed. Willow Creek Academy was under the leadership of Miss Zephyr Thorney, their principal, followed by Master Teacher 5, Mrs. Kashan Ironwood, Mrs. Serafina Blackwood, and Miss Joey V. Fabot. Master Teacher 4, Miss Anya Nightshade, Mr. Lucian Crimson, and Miss Maria Josefa Gracia Malagkit. Master Teacher 3, we have Mr. Alastor Velasquez, Mr. Knight Shakespeare, and Miss Flora May Turada. Master Teacher 2, we have Mr. Dib Montero, Mr. Dark Velancio, and Mr. George Gadong. Master Teacher 1, Mrs. Miriam Samonte, Mr. Volsky Stout, and Miss Remigine Frondoza. Teacher 3, Mr. Raven Ayumiente, Mr. Blair Storm, and Miss April Delphine. Teacher 2, Miss Artemis Zapanta, and Mr. Kali Nix. Teacher 1, Mr. Damian Samonte, and Miss Sarah Eleanor. Mr. Kashan Ironwood, a grade 7 advisor and math coordinator. Mrs. Serafina Blackwood, a grade 8 advisor and Filipino coordinator. Miss Anya Nightshade, a grade 9 advisor and English coordinator. Miss Flora May Turada, a grade 10 advisor, science coordinator, junior high school coordinator, and DRRM coordinator. Mr. Dark Velancio, a grade 11 STEM advisor and Red Cross Youth Coordinator. Mr. Lucian Crimson, a grade 11 ABM advisor and Boy Scout Coordinator. Miss Maria Josefa Gracia Malagkit, a grade 11 GAS advisor and Girl Scout Coordinator. Mr. Knight Shakespeare, a grade 11 YUMS advisor and YESO Coordinator. Mr. Alastor Velasquez, a grade 11 TVL advisor, festival coordinator, and cultural coordinator. Mr. Volsky Stout, a grade 12 ABM advisor and senior high school coordinator. Mr. Dib Montero, a grade 12 STEM advisor and publication advisor. Mr. George Gadong, a grade 12 YUMS advisor and SSG advisor. Mrs. Miriam Samonte, a grade 12 GAS advisor and IP advisor. Miss Remigine Frondoza, a grade 12 advisor and TLE teacher. Mr. Blair Storm, a kabataan kontra droga coordinator, MAPI coordinator, drum and lyre coordinator, and sports coordinator. Miss Artemis Zapanta, an ESP coordinator, guidance counselor, Committee of Anti-Bullying and Gender and Development coordinator. Miss Joey V. Fabot, an ARALPAN coordinator and ICT coordinator. For our non-teaching staff, we have School Registrar, Miss Vivian Genevieve, School Nurse, Miss Iris Montefalco, Librarian, Mrs. Olivia Harper, Canteen in Charge, Mrs. Amelia Williams. Guards, Mr. Nick Shadowmoon, Mr. Theodoro Caspian, and Mr. Iko Zeneth. Janitor, Mr. Ethan Blackwood, Mr. Liam Sterling, Mrs. Scarlett Rose, and Mrs. Anya Celeste. Maintenance, Electrician, and Emergency Control. We have Mr. Kashan Silvermoon, Mr. Rovan Mercadejas, Mr. Asher Gray, Mrs. Ember Blaze, and Mr. Kai Shadow Walker. School Driver, we have Mr. Inigo Vacherte, Mr. Zaid Monterde, and Mr. Aiden Mockstard. Academic Dean, Mrs. Shira Sulays Willow. Program Plan, Miss Hazel Sky Lux. Teacher Assignment, Mrs. Zoraina Rain Venterde. Classroom Management, Miss Scarlett Evelyn Mox. Administrative Dean, Mrs. Cesarina Evite Villar. Financial Executive, Mrs. Zaina Maeve Corp. Budget Manager, Mrs. Aurelia Serene Priscilla. Salary Management, Miss Beatrix Irene Helia. HRM Executive, Mrs. Zoraida Nisrin De Vega. Teacher Recruitment, Mrs. Licia Div Poesca. Teacher Training, Miss Aloisa Vilcorta. Teacher Motivation, Mrs. Zaina Lair Villegas. Information Technology Director, Miss Ilara Moon Vard. Learning Resources Center, Mr. Jackson Jace Batumbakal. Teacher Assignment, Mr. Cairo Smith. Student Assignment, Mrs. Amari Pien Santiago. Faculty Department, Miss Lensley Faye Salvador. Now, let's proceed to the successor plan. We have Miss Maria Josefa Gracia Malagkit, a Master Teacher 4, will retire in August 2025 and will be replaced by Miss Flora May Turada. Miss Flora May Turada, a Master Teacher 3, will be promoted in September 2025 and will be succeeded by Mr. George Gadong. Mr. George Gadong, a Master Teacher 2, will be promoted in October 2025 and will be replaced by Miss Remigine Frondoza. Miss Remigine Frondoza, a Master Teacher 1, will be promoted in November 2025 and will be replaced by Miss April Delphine. Miss April Delphine, a Teacher 3, will be promoted in December 2025 and will be replaced by Miss Artemis Zapanta. Miss Artemis Zapanta, a Teacher 2, will be promoted in January 2026 and will be succeeded by Miss Sarah Eleanor. Miss Sarah Eleanor, a Teacher 1, will be promoted in February 2026. Miss Eleanor position is vacant, so we will hire a new applicant. The applicants are Mr. Damian Ace Oxford, Mr. Zyros Villacorta, and Miss Amara Faye Roswell. Among the candidates, we selected Miss Amara Faye Roswell for this position because all three candidates demonstrated professionalism, but Miss Roswell stood out with her exceptional communication and collaboration skills, which are essential qualities for every teacher. That's all. Thank you for watching.